Bitcoin completely pumping to the downside over the last week. The sentiment in crypto hasn't been this bad in many, many months. And since I haven't posted a video in nearly 2 weeks, many people are in my comments asking, is he alive? What's going on? Well, what if I told you it's time to sit down, crack open a cold juice, and get ready for something not big, but extremely average sized. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is quite honestly having a little bit of a continued dumpy. But what if I told you something even bigger is on the way? So if you understand, it's not about how many times you can pump, but it's about how many times you can get dumped on and still really be good at enjoying a pump. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, get sent up to BINGX below if you want my Bitcoin or altcoins. And without any further ado, let's absolutely jump into it. So I've actually been away at the beach for the past 8 days. I just came back literally maybe like an hour ago. And I'm actually going to probably go back to the beach after this. So yeah, this is literally the first time I've looked at a chart on a computer in the past 8 days. I've been looking at my phone. But there are some big things that I've noticed even just, within the first couple of minutes of looking actually at a bunch of different charts on an actual big screen instead of the baby screen that I keep in my pocket. So the price of Bitcoin absolutely has initiated continued dumpiness downtrend, whereas I've seen people calling the last few days where we put in this low on Friday, July 5th. So 3 days ago, we actually wicked all the way down to the $53,000 level. Massive wick, as you can see. Okay, that's a really big wick. A couple days just trading sideways. And today so far, we've put in a higher low, whereas people are now maybe considering this a potentially a new bottom. Now, we've come back down basically to the level we were trading back in February of 2024 when this uptrend was actually just about to have its last big bust before being done. And if we actually look, let's take a look at a few charts. So clearly momentum on the short term is bearish. We got this bearish cross actually back on June 25th. I think I had made a video even around this time because I've been gone for like 8 days. I don't think I've made a video in like 10 or 11, 12 days. I'm not even sure. We got rejected though on this 21-day moving average. Perfect rejection. We were not able to get above it at all. And now we're completely continuing to dump. And we can actually see if we look at other charts, we're still just holding right at the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, really. So we have not seen a massive expansion in these Bollinger Bands. We're still kind of just riding right on them. Potentially, we haven't even seen the biggest move of this dump yet. Meaning, either we get a very quick reversal back above the 21-day moving average and get back above $60,000 very, very soon, right? I'll give two targets, one to the upside, one to the downside, that I think make a lot of sense. And absolutely, nobody on the planet knows if this market's going to pump in 5 minutes or dump in 5 minutes. But I think my opinion is that we're going to see a very strong move very soon, and it's going to be a very strong move to the upside above 60,000 or a complete breakdown of the short-term price that could bring us, back down to retesting about 50,000 US dollars. But most importantly, potentially in a very dumpy, very flash crashy, in my opinion, absolute long this area bottom, meaning like a flash dump here and afterwards we're going to be recovering and going up, potentially down to about 47,000, which is where this very big weekly moving average, the 50-week moving average right here, the 100 is all the way down at about a little under 40. But realistically, that's massive doomsday, massive capitulation event where sentiment is completely gone. I'll be honest, I haven't been checking social media, so I don't really know what people's sentiment is. I've been getting, as you can see, extremely tan in the sun, right? So I don't even know what the sentiment honestly is at this point. I'm assuming it's pretty bad because it was bad before I went to the beach. And I can only imagine it's worse now because the price has only gone down. But yeah, one more flash crash, even down to this 50-week moving average down here at about 48,000, absolutely would cement massive bearishness for a lot of people, which would then be, in my opinion, one of the perfect entries, if this truly ends up becoming extremely bullish over the next few months, which I still absolutely believe it is. I still think this is a massive opportunity. We have not seen any significant alt season whatsoever. That can be further illustrated if we go to, this is the first time I'm looking at this chart actually in the last 2 weeks almost. Yeah, Bitcoin dominance has only been rising the past 2 years still. No significant alt season really on the charts. And the other option, as I just said, is that we can either then, if we get back above 60, get back above the 21-day moving average. This is what and I've always said this, really short term, if we're below the 21-day moving average, it's bearish short term. If we're above the 21-day moving average, it's bullish short term. And we're below it. And we just recently got rejected back about a week ago at the 21-day moving average after falling below it initially back at the very beginning of last month, beginning of June, about a month ago. And so nothing is bullish short term until we reclaim that, which we would need to get at least above 61,000 US dollars. Every day that goes by, it's going to be lower and lower because you can see this moving average is basically, it's getting pretty close to pointing straight down because we're just getting, daily dumps. I guess weekly dumps. The weekly chart more so is the dumpier chart. We look at the weekly chart after failing to hold this back in the middle of last month, so almost an entire month ago. We've had 4 consecutive red candles. Okay, we have had momentum on the weekly chart, just swing completely to the downside, reset a lot, but there's still no indication yet in the short term that this dump is over. Like I said, the only indications that we would see this dump be over is the very, very minimum we need is to reclaim 60. So at this point, anything below 60K is pretty short-term bearish, in my opinion. The stock market, honestly, is still looking good. The stock market is still putting in new highs. That's very healthy. We're seeing more signs that inflation is starting to, continuing to respond to the higher rates, which is all good stuff. Basically, all of the fundamental things that Bitcoin needs to pump outside of crypto, all the macro stuff, it's all still really good. It's all still looking like it's pointing the direction we want it to if we want a big pump. It's just, however, apparently something that's happened in the past week since I've been gone is Mt. Gox, Germany. So some selling of Bitcoin from very large wallets, apparently. And that sell pressure can't last forever. Bitcoin inflows are still relatively good, even though this price has been dumping for a while now. But realistically, this is the part of the market I think is honestly extremely exciting, even though it's extremely boring and it takes time to get there. This is where maximum opportunity, this is the last maximum opportunity event of this cycle, because whenever this reverses, whenever we start to see this MACD start to curve up, whenever we actually see a really strong bounce, a really bullish weekly close, which we have not gotten a bullish weekly close in quite a long time, actually. It's been pretty bearish weekly closes for actually multiple months, bearish weekly closes. Again, as I said, we could have to retest 48 to even 50 first. Or if over the next week we trade sideways, trading sideways is always an option. But if we see a big bust back above 61, reclaiming 60, most importantly, getting above the 21-day moving average, and then ultimately trying to get back above the 21-week around 65,000, then we can start being more bullish on this market. But if I would give you advice, it's basically do what I'm doing. Go to the beach, just chill out a little bit. Because watching these charts every day right now, I don't think we're quite at a point where we can expect okay, things are going to be exciting by tomorrow. I personally think that even if this dumping, let's say the bottom is technically in and we're not going to go any lower, I still personally think there's some sideways consolidation, some sideways and some momentum that needs to shift and some potentially boringness left. Now, the good news is that sets us up for a really, really good potential fourth quarter of this year. The fourth quarter of years for Bitcoin is historically actually really good anyway. So if we have to go through pain for another 1 or 2 months and then really start to experience some gains the final few months of 2024, and then we push into 2025 and have some insane bull market, that's fine. But I'm just saying, as of right now, I'm just being totally honest, because I could come on here and say this is extremely bullish, or I could say it's extremely bearish. Honestly, my true opinion on what's happening right now is it's boring. It's just building still. We're building support, solidifying support, losing some support, trying to get the real strength of this market, especially Bitcoin. Especially, I think it's interesting that the stock market is doing so well while Bitcoin is not. I think that's an interesting decoupling or a decorrelation between the two. And Bitcoin will perform really well eventually. I just don't think it's going to be immediately. Now, as I said, it potentially could, but at the very least, we would need at least about another $5,000 to $6,000 pump before, in my opinion, it's even interesting for potentially being bullish. Right now, what you really want to do is see Bitcoin hold these levels, and yeah, either we're going to see a big breakdown to 48, which would be another, let's see, what percent move would that be to the downside? That would be another maybe like 15% drop. Let's say if that did happen, if Bitcoin dropped another 15%, altcoins would be getting destroyed. Now, I'm not saying that's like my base case. I don't necessarily think we have to have another complete dump here. All I'm saying is that that absolutely would be a massive capitulation that would push us back to where the only opportunity for this market to get bullish at the earliest would be Q4 of this year, so a couple months away. It would be an amazing opportunity. It would be your last opportunity to buy before the last part of this bull market, in my opinion. As I've been saying for months, the longer that we consolidate and we don't have a massive pump to the upside, the stronger and longer I think this pump could be. So, hey, I still am totally okay with the idea that we have some really boring and potentially just only dumpy price action for at least another couple months. And that's why, I mean, actions speak louder than words, right? And my actions right now are going to the beach and like playing golf every once in a while, right? That's what I'm doing, is my actions. So my actions are telling you, hey, I'm not very interested in this market right now. I'm extremely interested in what this market's going to do, but I just don't think it's going to happen, by next week. And if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins, get signed up to Femex below. Without further ado,